This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. Officials say the number of cases of highly pathogenic avian influenza continues to grow, with infections being confirmed or suspected in nearly two-thirds of Indiana counties. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources said Monday that the virus has been detected in wild birds in 30 counties, with cases also being suspected in 32 additional counties based on reports involving the deaths of raptors, cranes, and waterfowl. The DNR said more than 1,500 sandhill cranes have been affected by the virus since January, resulting in a large number of deaths in Greene, Jackson, Jasper, LaPorte, Newton, Stark, and Union counties. The Indiana State Board of Animal Health also reported a new case of avian flu involving a commercial egg-laying operation in Jay County, though the name of the operation was not disclosed. The board has reported nearly 24 instances of avian flu since January. Indianapolis-based Calumet is planning to sell the industrial portion of its Royal Purple business to lubrication engineers in Kansas for $110 million. The sale involves Royal Purple's synthetic industrial product line, which includes gear lubricants, bio-environmental lubricants, and hydraulic lubricants. The deal is expected to close in mid-2025 and does not include the consumer portion of Royal Purple or the company's production facility in Texas. Lafayette-based workplace and security communications provider Rawcom has been acquired by South Carolina-based Mobile Communications America. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, and the impact on Rawcom employees who work in offices in Lafayette, Terre Haute, and Pittsboro is unclear. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
The Indiana General Assembly is considering legislation aimed at tackling brownfield sites throughout the state. IIB's Mark Mazurek has more.
Brownfields are sites contaminated by chemicals, often from former uses like factories, auto repair shops, gas stations, and dry cleaners. The contamination makes redeveloping the properties more costly and complicated, which can lead to sites sitting vacant for decades. Senate Bill 307, authored by Republican Senator Andy Zay, would allow the Indiana Brownfields program to be used to study brownfields and to create a statewide inventory, although the bill provides no funding for the task. That inventory would be compiled and managed by the Indiana Finance Authority, which would be allowed to contract with state colleges or universities to help create and maintain the inventory. Current registration of Indiana brownfields is limited to a 59-page list managed by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the Indiana Finance Authority. Information is only collected for properties that are or have been on one of the state's brownfield programs. That makes it difficult to understand the full extent of Indiana's brownfields and how many still need to be remediated. The inventory that would be allowed by Senate Bill 307, which the Senate has passed and the House committee now has in its hands, would require an active search statewide of properties that might satisfy the definition of a brownfield. Zay said he hopes funding to create the inventory will be allocated through the state budget in coming years, along with a grant program he wants to create that would provide state funds for actual remediation. It would be structured similar to the Community Crossings Grant program, he said, which allows locals to apply for road funding towards specific projects. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
State employees can now take an additional 6 to 8 weeks of childbirth recovery leave under a new executive order signed by Governor Mike Braun on Monday. In addition to the previously allowed 4 weeks of parental leave, all full and part-time employees are eligible to receive 6 weeks of recovery leave for a vaginal delivery and 8 weeks for a cesarean section. A mother who delivers a stillborn or otherwise experiences fetal death after 20 weeks of gestation is also eligible to take leave. Under the previous policy, mothers in this situation were not eligible for leave beyond their typical paid time off. The executive order also strikes the requirement for workers to have been employed for at least 6 months to receive parental leave. However, those new employees must agree to work for the state for at least 1 year in return. Hughes Culinary CEO Craig Hughes is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.